Welcome, everyone. If you're over 50, over 60, or simply someone who cares deeply about your health, you've probably heard that sardines are one of the most powerful superfoods you can add to your diet. And it's true. These tiny fish pack a nutritional punch far greater than their size. They're loaded with omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D, protein, and calcium, making them one of the most nutrient-dense foods on the planet. But here's the catch. While sardines are incredibly healthy, many people eat them in ways that actually rob them of their benefits or even put their health at risk. That's why in today's video, we're exposing the shocking mistakes everyone makes when eating sardines. And by the end, you'll not only understand what these mistakes are, but also how to fix them so you can get the maximum benefits for your heart, brain, muscles, and bones. Before we jump in, if you're new here, welcome to our community. We share powerful, science-backed tips to help you live stronger, healthier, and more energized, especially after 60. Make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss our weekly videos. Now let's dive in. The first mistake people make when eating sardines is something most of us never think twice about: choosing sardines packed in the wrong liquid. Let me explain. Sardines usually come in a can. And while you might assume all sardines are the same, the liquid they're packed in can make or break their health benefits. Most people grab whatever is on the shelf without reading the fine print. But here's the truth. Sardines packed in soybean oil, sunflower oil, or other refined vegetable oils are a huge mistake. Why? Because those oils are often high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 isn't inherently bad. Your body actually needs it in small amounts. But here's the problem. When you eat too much omega-6, it creates an imbalance with omega-3, and that balance is critical. Sardines are one of the richest natural sources of omega-3, which fights inflammation, supports brain function, lowers blood pressure, and protects your heart. But if your sardines are swimming in omega-6 heavy oils, you're undoing many of those benefits in one bite. To put this into perspective, studies show that the average Western diet has a ratio of omega-6 to omega-3 that can be as high as 20 to 1. Ideally, it should be closer to 2 to 1. So if you're re-eating sardines packed in vegetable oils, you're essentially pouring more omega-6 into an already overstuffed system, drowning out the very omega-3s you're eating the sardines for in the first place. Now you might think, well, I'll just drain the oil before eating them. And yes, draining helps a little, but those oils seep into the flesh of the fish. By the time you eat it, you've already absorbed a significant amount of those inflammatory fats. So what should you do instead? The best option is to buy sardines packed in water, olive oil, or their own natural juices. If you're serious about reducing inflammation and boosting your omega-3 intake, olive oil is the clear winner. Unlike soybean or sunflower oil, olive oil is rich in monounsaturated fats and powerful antioxidants, which actually enhance the health benefits of sardines instead of canceling them out. And here is another pro tip. Sardines packed in extra virgin olive oil not only taste richer, but also give you an added dose of polyphenols, which fight oxidative stress and support your arteries. That means stronger blood vessels, lower risk of heart disease, and better circulation. All critical factors for seniors who want to stay active, mobile, and independent well into their later years. But if you're watching calories or trying to lower fat intake, water-packed sardines are also a great option. They're leaner, and you still get that incredible protein and calcium without the added oils. Just make sure to check the label. Some water-packed versions sneak in added salt, which brings us to another common mistake we'll discuss later in this video. Now let's go a little deeper. Why does this mistake matter so much more as we get older, especially after 60? Because inflammation becomes one of the biggest silent killers in aging. Chronic inflammation is linked to arthritis, heart disease, diabetes, and even cognitive decline. And the foods we eat every single day are either fueling that fire or putting it out. Sardines should be one of those anti-inflammatory powerhouses, but only if you choose wisely. Think about this. If you eat just one can of sardines a few times a week, and those sardines are swimming in inflammatory oils, you're stacking the deck against your health. But if you switch to olive oil-packed or water-packed sardines, suddenly you've turned that small meal into a powerful shield against inflammation. And the beauty of sardines is that you don't need to eat a ton to reap the rewards. Even one small can delivers over 1,000 milligrams of omega-3s, more than you get from most fish oil supplements. So, the very first shocking mistake to avoid is ignoring the liquid your sardines are packed in. It might seem like a small detail, but the truth is, it can make the difference between a meal that heals your body and a meal that silently harms it. Now that we've uncovered this first mistake, get ready, because the next one is even more surprising. Most people don't realize that the way sardines are processed and stored can strip away their nutrients and leave you with a product that is far less powerful than nature intended. And in part 2, we'll reveal exactly what you need to watch out for. But before we move on, let me ask you, how do you usually eat sardines? Do you prefer them in water, olive oil, or do you drain the oil completely? Drop your answer in the comments below. I'd love to see how many of us have been making this very mistake. Stay tuned, because in the next part, we re-exposing another big problem with how most people buy and store sardines. And trust me, this is one you've probably never thought about.
All right, let's keep going. Now that we've uncovered the problem with the oils sardines are packed in, let us talk about another mistake that almost nobody pays attention to, and it has everything to do with how sardines are processed and stored. Here's the truth. Not all sardines are created equal. The way they're caught, canned, and preserved can dramatically change their nutritional profile. You might think fish is fish, right? But here's where people go wrong. Many brands on the shelves today use high-heat processing and long-term storage methods that strip away the very nutrients we're trying to get from sardines in the first place. Let me explain. Sardines are loaded with delicate nutrients like vitamin D, vitamin B12, and omega-3 fatty acids. These compounds are sensitive to light, heat, and oxygen. When sardines are processed with excessive heat, many of those fragile vitamins get destroyed. And when they sit in a can for years, yes, years, their nutrient content drops even further. That means the can you pull off the shelf might have far less vitamin D or omega-3 than the label suggests. Here's an eye-opening fact. Canned sardines often have a shelf life of 3 to 5 years. That sounds great for convenience, but think about what's happening during that time. Oils oxidize, proteins break down, and the delicate omega-3 fats begin to degrade. By the time you open that can, you may not be getting the full power of sardines. And in some cases, you could even be consuming oxidized fats that contribute to inflammation instead of reducing it. This is why freshness matters more than you think. When you buy sardines, always check the packaging date. Look for cans that are as recent as possible, not ones that have been sitting at the back of a warehouse for years. The fresher the can, the more nutrients you'll actually get. And here is something most people don't know. Frozen sardines or freshly packed sardines in glass jars often retain far more nutrients than old canned varieties. Frozen sardines are typically flash frozen right after being caught, locking in their nutrients. Glass-jarred sardines, especially those packed in olive oil, are usually processed at lower temperatures and sealed tightly to prevent oxidation. If you can find these options, they're often a far better choice for maximizing health benefits. Now, let's talk about another hidden issue: BPA in cans. Many sardine cans are lined with BPA or bisphenol, a chemical that prevents the metal from corroding. the problem. BPA can leach into the food, especially when it sits in the can for long periods of time. Research has linked BPA exposure to hormonal imbalances, metabolic issues, and even increased risk of heart disease. And let's be honest, the very people who need sardines most, like seniors looking to strengthen their bones, muscles, and hearts, are the ones who can least afford these risks. So, what's the solution? Look for sardines labeled BPA-free or non-BPA lining. More and more companies are making the switch, and it's worth the extra effort to find them. Think of it this way. You're eating sardines for their health benefits, so don't let the packaging undo those benefits. Another common mistake tied to storage is keeping open sardines in the wrong conditions. Many people open a can, eat half, and then stick the rest in the fridge. Still, in the open metal can, this is a big no-no. Once opened, the fish comes into contact with air, which accelerates oxidation. Plus, the metal can itself can start to react with the food, altering its taste and potentially leaching more compounds into the fish. The right way to do it is simple. Once you open a can, transfer any leftovers into a glass container with a tight lid. Cover them with a little olive oil if needed, and refrigerate immediately. This keeps the sardines fresher, tastier, and safer for another meal. Now, let's tie this back to why this matters so much as we age. After 60, nutrient absorption naturally declines. Your digestive system simply doesn't extract vitamins and minerals as efficiently as it once did. That means you need to be extra careful about the quality of the nutrients you're consuming. If your sardines are already low in nutrients because of poor processing and long storage, by the time your body absorbs them, you're left with very little benefit. Think of it like this. Eating nutrient-depleted sardines is like putting watered-down fuel into your car. Sure, it might run, but not nearly as well as it should. Your body, especially after 60, deserves premium fuel, and that means sardines that are fresh, well processed, and stored correctly. Another reason this mistake is so critical. Bone health. Sardines are one of the few natural foods that combine both calcium and vitamin D, the ultimate duo for strong bones. But if your sardines have lost much of their vitamin D during processing, you're only getting half the benefit. And let's not forget, after 60, the risk of osteoporosis and fractures skyrockets. Every bite counts, and you want those bites to deliver maximum strength. So here's the bottom line. Don't settle for just any sardines. Choose brands that are processed gently, packed in nutrient-friendly oils, and stored in BPA-free containers. Check expiration and packaging dates, and whenever possible, go for fresher options like frozen or jarred sardines. And once you open them, treat them with care. No leaving them in the can overnight. This may sound like small details, but these small details add up. Over months and years, the difference between nutrient-rich sardines and nutrient-depleted ones can be the difference. between strong bones and brittle bones, between a sharp mind and foggy thinking, between energy and fatigue. Now, if you're thinking, okay, I'll buy better sardines, problem solved. Hold on, because the third shocking mistake has nothing to do with how you buy them and everything to do with how you eat them. Most people eat sardines in ways that completely wipe out their benefits, and in some cases, even add hidden health risks.
So now you know why the oil sardines are packed in matters, and why the way they're processed and stored can make or break their health benefits. But here's where most people stumble the hardest. Even when they buy high-quality sardines, they end up eating them in ways that completely sabotage their nutrition. And I'm not just talking about taste. I'm talking about pairing sardines with the wrong foods, drowning them in unhealthy sauces, or cooking them in ways that wipe out the nutrients you bought them for in the first place. This, right here, is the third shocking mistake everyone makes with sardines. Let's start with one of the biggest offenders: heating sardines too much. Sardines are already cooked during the canning process. When you take them out of the can and toss them into a frying pan or oven at high heat, you're basically cooking them twice. And what happens when delicate omega-3 fatty acids get hit with too much heat? They break down. Instead of protecting your heart and calming inflammation, those healthy fats can oxidize, turning into compounds that actually stress your body. Think about this. Omega-3s are one of the main reasons we eat sardines in the first place. If you destroy them by overcooking, you're losing one of the biggest benefits. That's like buying an expensive car and then draining the gas tank before you drive it. It just doesn't make sense. Another way people ruin sardines is by pairing them with heavy, creamy sauces. You've probably seen sardine recipes that call for mayonnaise, butter, or thick cream. Sure, they taste rich, but here's the catch. Those sauces are usually loaded with omega-6 fats. Omega-6 fats aren't bad on their own, but the average diet already contains way too much of them, from vegetable oils, fried foods, and processed snacks. When you flood your body with omega-6 while eating omega-3 rich sardines, the omega-6 cancels out the omega-3's benefits. The result? You don't get the anti-inflammatory boost you were hoping for. Instead, your body remains in an inflamed state, the very condition sardines are supposed to protect you from. And remember, after age 60, inflammation is one of the biggest drivers of chronic disease, from arthritis to heart disease to memory decline. Now let's talk about something that surprises most people: eating sardines without balancing minerals. Sardines are naturally high in calcium, especially if you eat them with the tiny bones inside the can. That's an incredible benefit, but here's where people go wrong. Calcium works best in balance with magnesium, and most seniors are deficient in magnesium. If you're eating sardines for strong bones but your diet is low in magnesium, your body can't use that calcium properly. Instead of going into your bones where it belongs, the calcium may get deposited in your arteries, contributing to stiffness and increasing your risk of heart problems. The solution? Pair sardines with magnesium-rich foods. That could be something as simple as a side of leafy greens, a handful of pumpkin seeds, or even a squeeze of lemon, which helps improve mineral absorption. Eating sardines by themselves isn't the mistake. It is eating them without the right companions. Think of it like this. Sardines bring the bricks, but you need magnesium to provide the mortar. Without both, the wall of your bone health won't hold. Here's another mistake that flies under the radar: eating sardines with high-salt foods. Sardines are already naturally salty, especially canned ones packed in brine. If you add them to pizza, salty crackers, or processed bread, you could be doubling or tripling your sodium intake in one meal. And excess sodium is a real problem for seniors. It raises blood pressure, stresses the kidneys, and increases the risk of heart disease. Now, don't get me wrong. Sardines themselves aren't the villain. It's the careless combinations that turn them into a hidden health risk. If you're going to eat sardines packed in salt water, balance them out with fresh vegetables, lemon juice, or herbs instead of piling on more salt. That way, you keep the flavor without overwhelming your body with sodium. And here's something that almost nobody talks about: portion size. Sardines are small, so people assume you can eat as many as you want. But just like any nutrient-dense food, too much of a good thing can backfire. Eating multiple cans every single day can overload your body with sodium, cholesterol, and even purines, which can trigger gout in susceptible individuals. Moderation is key. A serving size of 1 can a few times a week is more than enough for most seniors to reap the benefits without risking overload. Another overlooked mistake? Throwing away the bones and skin. A lot of people feel squeamish about the tiny bones in sardines, or they peel off the skin for texture reasons. But here's the truth. Those parts are where some of the best nutrients hide. The bones are packed with calcium and phosphorus, both critical for maintaining strong bones after 60. The skin holds extra omega-3s and collagen-like proteins that support joint health and skin elasticity. By discarding these parts, you're literally throwing away some of the best reasons to eat sardines in the first place. And finally, let's talk about timing. Believe it or not, when you eat sardines can also make a difference. Eating them late at night, especially with heavy carbs or alcohol, can cause digestive discomfort or reflux in some seniors. But when eaten earlier in the day, maybe at lunch with a fresh salad or in the afternoon as a protein boost, sardines can provide sustained energy, better digestion, and improved nutrient absorption. Timing may not seem like a big deal, but as the body ages, little factors like this can add up to a noticeable difference in how you feel. So here's the big picture. The third mistake isn't about the sardines themselves. It is about what you do with them once they are on your plate. Overheating them, drowning them in the wrong sauces, pairing them with salty or nutrient-imbalanced foods, or tossing out the most nutrient-rich parts. These habits quietly undo the power of sardines. But here's the good news. Once you're aware of these mistakes, they're easy to fix. Keep your sardines simple. Enjoy them with a drizzle of extra virgin olive oil, a squeeze of lemon, and a side of magnesium-rich greens. Eat the bones and skin. Avoid reheating them at high temperatures. And don't go overboard with portion sizes. When you do this, you unlock the full strength of sardines, the way nature intended. The myth of forever shelf life. A lot of people think that canned foods, including sardines, last forever. You buy them, toss them into your pantry, and forget about them for years. One day you clean out your cupboards and see a can of sardines with a date from who knows when, and you think, well, it's canned, it's fine, right? Wrong. Sardines may be shelf-stable, but they do not last forever. Over time, even in a sealed can, the oils can oxidize, the proteins can degrade, and the flavor can turn rancid. That's not just a taste issue. It's a nutrition issue. Omega-3 fatty acids, which are the crown jewel of sardines, are extremely sensitive to oxidation. Once they oxidize, not only do they lose their health benefits, but they can actually produce harmful compounds that increase inflammation in your body, the exact opposite of what you want. Expired sardines, more common than you think. Here's another problem. Many people don't check expiration dates closely enough. They assume canned fish will always be fine. But eating sardines past their expiration date isn't just about taste, it's about safety. Proteins can break down into biogenic amines like histamine, which can trigger headaches, skin reactions, or digestive upset. Have you ever heard of scombroid poisoning? It is a reaction some people get from eating fish with high histamine levels due to poor storage. Symptoms can include flushing, hives, nausea, or even breathing difficulties. And while it's more common with tuna or mackerel, sardines aren't immune, especially if stored improperly or consumed too late. Heat and light, the hidden destroyers. Another overlooked factor is storage conditions. Many people leave their sardines in hot kitchens, garages, or near windows where sunlight hits them. But heat and light speed up the oxidation process, breaking down those precious omega-3s and vitamin D. Think about it. If your pantry is near the stove or gets warm in the summer, your sardines may be quietly losing nutrition long before you even open the can. After opening the can. Now let's talk about what happens after you open sardines. Some people open a can, eat half, then toss the rest back in the fridge in the original can. That's a huge mistake. Once opened, sardines should never be stored in the can. The exposed metal reacts with air and liquid, accelerating spoilage and giving the fish a metallic taste. Instead, you should transfer leftovers to a glass or BPA-free plastic container, cover them tightly, and refrigerate immediately. Even then, they should be eaten within 1 to 2 days, not a week later. How this affects seniors more. You may be wondering, Okay, so what if the taste is a little off? Does it really matter? The answer is yes, especially for seniors. First, as we age, our digestive systems become more sensitive. Older adults are more prone to foodborne illness and reactions to spoiled or oxidized food. Something a younger person might shrug off with mild stomach upset could lead to more serious complications in someone over 60. Second, older adults often eat sardines specifically for their omega-3s, calcium, and protein. If those nutrients are being destroyed by poor storage or oxidation, then you're losing the very reason you bought the sardines in the first place. And third, inflammation is already a concern with aging, arthritis, stiff joints, heart disease risk. Eating rancid oils only adds fuel to the fire. The good news is, avoiding this fifth mistake is easy once you know what to do. Check expiration dates when buying sardines. Choose cans with the longest shelf life. Rotate your stock so you eat the older ones first. Store sardines in a cool, dark place, ideally below 75 degrees and away from direct sunlight. Don't leave sardines in hot cars or garages. If you bulk buy, keep extras in a consistently cool area. Once opened, transfer leftovers to a sealed container. Never leave them in the can. Eat within 1 to 2 days for maximum freshness and safety. Trust your senses. If the sardines smell sour, overly fishy, or metallic, don't risk it. It's better to throw out one can than to risk your health. The bigger lesson. Here's the big takeaway. Sardines are one of the most nutrient-packed foods you can eat, but they're also delicate. Their nutrition hinges on how they're handled, not just at the factory, but also in your own kitchen. If you treat them carelessly, you are not just losing flavor. You're returning a superfood into a potential health risk. But if you treat them right, store them properly, respect expiration dates, and handle leftovers carefully, you preserve every ounce of their omega-3s, calcium, and protein. Wrapping up the 5 mistakes. So now we've uncovered the 5 shocking mistakes people make with sardines: choosing the wrong oils, eating them with nutrient blockers, overprocessing and wrong preparation, ignoring the source and sustainability, mishandling storage and freshness. And here's the good news. Every one of these mistakes is 100% preventable. With just a little extra awareness, you can enjoy sardines the way they were meant to be eaten, as one of the most affordable, nutrient-dense, and longevity-boosting foods on the planet. This week, grab a quality can of sardines and put what you've learned into practice. Try them mashed with avocado and lemon on toast. Toss them into a salad with leafy greens, beans, and a drizzle of olive oil, or stir them gently into whole grain pasta with garlic and spinach. Keep it simple, keep it balanced, and let the nutrients work for you. And as always, let me remind you, this video is for educational purposes only. It's not medical advice. If you have specific conditions or concerns, talk to your healthcare provider before making big dietary changes. If you found this video helpful, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that like button, share it with a friend or family member who could use healthier habits, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss the upcoming videos where we all continue to uncover the hidden truths about everyday foods and how they can either heal or harm your body. Sardines may be small, but their impact on your health can be massive. So the next time you open that can, remember, avoid the mistakes, embrace the benefits, and let this humble little fish fuel your journey towards stronger muscles, sharper memory, healthier bones, and a longer, more vibrant life. Take action today, and I'll see you in the next video.